In the middle of the corona crisis, Great Britain faces the next major hurdle in the terms of foreign policy. It's still up to June, or to the end of this month, to decide to extend the transition period that just lasts until the end of this year. Great Britain must now prepare to join several important agreements at the latest, but admission is anything but guaranteed. The Lugano Convention, for example, is one of the many construction sites. Great Britain officially left the EU in January, and since then the transition period is in effect. During this transition period, rights and obligations, for example in trade matters, have remained largely unchanged. According to Prime Minister Boris Johnson, extending this transition phase beyond December 31st is not an option. Above all, the exit from the European single market envisaged by London is likely to become a major hurdle in many areas. This raises the question of jurisdiction of courts in cross-border legal disputes with other European countries. In civil and commercial law matters, this has been clarified in the Lugano Convention. This ensures, among other things, that judgment can be enforced and recognized in other countries. In addition to the EU member states, Iceland, Switzerland and Norway are part of the Lugano Legal Pact. Britain admitted a request in April to become an independent member of this agreement. However, the previous signatories are united by one criterion. They all have access to the EU single market, either as an EU member or as a member of the Free Trade Association EFTA. Britain, on the other hand, refuses to join EFTA after Brexit. The Johnson government does receive support from the co-signers Iceland, Switzerland and Norway, but the EU is apparently more cautious. And a unanimous decision is required for inclusion of the Lugano Convention. Allegedly, British diplomats have said that it would be a blessing for the UK if this request would be granted. But obviously there's no rush at this question at EU level. Applications are usually decided within a year. And as I said, allegedly the UK submitted their request in April. At the moment, the transition period with effects on Lugano Convention has effect in London. But as soon as it ends on December 31st, lawyers warn that British judgments are threatened to lose their force in the EU case law. This could lead Britain to rely on other, more fragmented international agreements. So far, London has been an important centre for trade disputes. A British lawyer told the Financial Times, for example, there is no doubt that there will be greater costs and difficulties in obtaining recognition and enforcement of British judgments in the EU. And also, according to the Financial Times, the British government refers to the long common history of cooperation in legal matters. And the British government relies on one quote they made: "The Lugano Convention is an existing multinational convention that is expressively open to all countries in the world." Well, yeah, but being open and being accepted into it are still two things. And of course, the question of the jurisdiction of courts is just one of many that is currently still unresolved. The just ended fourth round of Brexit talks once again tried to find solution for the many unanswered questions. But no breakthrough has been achieved in any of the four previous rounds. And that's why no breakthrough was announced last Friday after the end of the fourth round. And that's when Michel Barnier, the chief negotiator of the EU, said it's his responsibility to tell the truth and that there is no real progress. And with a man like Barnier, if you know him and you know how he's talking usually, it said a lot that he said we can't go on like this forever. Nevertheless, he suggested another round of negotiations in the end of June. And this round is supposed to deal intensively with the most difficult questions. And if you remember, even before these talks started, Barnier described the situation as serious. And Britain is currently trying to make the most out of the EU trade agreements with other countries without offering anything in return. That at least is the position of the French newspaper Le Monde. And they even went further. They even said to reach a result, more realism is needed on the British side. And indeed it is not looking good. Meanwhile, the British Central Bank is advising domestic financial institutions to set up preparations for a no deal at the end of this year and a complete failure of the EU-UK negotiations on the future relationship. And it is reported that the governor of the Bank of England, Andrew Bailey, advised himself the leaders of the biggest banks in England about this matter. But, and that's also part of the truth, the British Central Bank has not commented on this at all so far. And Minister John Glenn, asked for the same question, just added that the British financial sector was world class, however these negotiations end. And that he's still convinced that the financial industry in Britain is still well positioned, regardless of the results of the negotiations. And don't forget, everybody's concentrating on fishing at the moment. There, Britain wants annual negotiations about quota and access. But in case of the financial services, Britain wants a long-term commitment with access to the EU single market for these financial services. And this is, of course, to prevent banks, insurers and asset managers from being cut off from the EU. And many banks have already moved jobs from the island to the continent due to the EU exit. And if you now want to know more about European politics from a German point of view, I put my next video in the end screen. Click and enjoy. I'll see you there. Viel Spaß!